back, literary slummers, to another episode of HateRead. I'm Em.
And I'm Anna. Every fortnight here on HateRead, one of us challenges the other to read a book that we think she will hate. We actually did that this fortnight again. I challenged Em to read the book The Heiresses by Shepard. And is that our whole intro? It feels like I missed something.
Yep, so first things
first.
Oh,
well, yeah. Oh, yeah. So first things first, Em. Did you finish this book?
I did, in fact. And I wanted to start off, actually, with a question for you, Anna. Which was, well, two questions, really. First question, last fortnight, when you challenged me to read this, you said that there were a lot of things that you thought I would hate in it, and I agreed that it did sound like that. But I want to know specifically why you thought I would hate this book, because I don't know if we're on the same page in regards to that. I want to see what your thought process was behind picking this specific book.
I thought you wouldn't like it because it's about a bunch of like rich socialites, and I think I have heard you mention before that you're like just totally over reading about that type of person. And then also because there was like, it said there was going to be a mystery, and I also know you don't like mysteries.
Okay.
So that was my thinking. Why? Did you like this book?
Well, first off, okay, for the first 20% of this book, I thought exactly what you said. I was like, oh shit, this is a book about socialites. I fucking hate reading about socialites. They're incredibly boring, and I don't care about their rich people problems.
I have to
part
get
of that
a
is
job.
because yeah, and part of that is because, as I've mentioned before, I work in an industry where I come into contact with a lot of rich people, and they annoy the shit out of me. So, yes, that was 100%. And I thought I wouldn't really like it because it's a mystery. And I think if I liked mysteries, and this is my second question, what did you think of this book? Did you like it or no?
I thought it was trash, but I loved it, so.
Okay, so here was where I landed on this book, right?
Okay.
I felt like if I liked mysteries, I would hate this book because I hated all the characters.
Yes, they were very bad.
But because I hated all the characters, and I kind of didn't really care what happened to them, I liked it a lot more than I like most mysteries.
Okay.
Like, I didn't entirely hate this book. I hated aspects of it, but once it kind of got into the part where stuff is happening, I was pretty okay with it.
Oh, dang. Well, see, that's the other thing, too, is I think it was like the 30% mark, and then I read the rest of it in one sitting. I was like, this is so good.
Yeah, once it gets past... Well, let's go ahead and just let's get into what this book is about, for those of you who maybe haven't read this one. We mentioned this is written by Shepard, who is probably best known for her YA series, couple series, but primarily Pretty Little Liars, which has been made into a TV show and blah, blah, blah. Did you ever read any of the Pretty Little Liars books?
No, and I have not watched the show either. So this is my very first Sarah Shepard.
Yeah. I think I may have read, like, the second or third Pretty Little Liars book back when they first came out when I was, like, early high school. Because I remember, like, picking it up from the library because it only had that one available and being really confused. Which makes sense, because it's, like, the second...
Yeah.
It was, like, the second or third book. I did that a lot back then. Like, that's how I read the Twilight series when it first came out. I read the second one first, and then went back and read the first one.
This is fine.
It was just whatever was available to me. So, okay, so, I get the sense from looking at her body of work that she does a lot of kind of the same sort of thing.
Yes, I think she's the same kind of author.
Yeah, group of girls connected in some way, tormented by a killer, and they have to deal with it. Because I believe that is the primary, like, thing of Pretty Little Liars, is there is a person who knows all their secrets and may or may not be killing them.
Yes.
So that's kind of the deal here. We've got a group of cousins of the a group of cousins from the Saybrook family, the famous Saybrooks, who are famous and rich and own many diamonds because of their diamond company, and they are just big old socialites, and everyone knows them, and they people are obsessed with them, and there's a whole like blog about them, and they get entire articles and entire issues of People dedicated to them and stuff like that, which didn't really ring true for me.
I was gonna say, I don't think we have a real world equivalent unless I'm just like completely detached from that realm.
Like the closest thing in terms of how they are perceived by the rest of the world is the Kardashians, right? Like it's I forgot about them, Right. But they don't they're not famous for like reality TV. They're famous for, it would be like if like the Trump family pre him being elected were treated the way the Kardashians are by the media.
Yeah.
Where they are a business family, but everyone's like super obsessed with them. It's very strange. It doesn't make sense.
Like maybe how royalty is in the UK, which maybe not, because also I'm not from there, so I don't know. But that's kind of like the vibe I got also, that she was like trying to give us. American royalty, but
kind of, except again that they like did something, like they own a business.
So I guess like if the Vanderbilts were still like a huge thing.
And I mean like people do kind of follow like heiresses and heirs of big companies and stuff. I remember like Taylor Swift was dating a Kennedy at some point, and people were all into that. So I mean, like that does happen. Like you do get like stars, they're just like us, about, you know, kids of big families, but not to the extent this book was making it seem like, where like literally the entire world is obsessed with them. Anyway, this is the family, the girls that we are interested in, or the women, I should say, that we are interested in. We have, and they, you know, each fulfill a very specific, like, archetype role. So we've got Poppy, who's the perfect one. And then Corinne, who's also the perfect one, I guess. And then...
the slightly less perfect one.
Aster, the wild and crazy one. Rowan, also kind of the wild and crazy one, I guess. And then there's Natasha, who's there.
The one that disinherited herself.
The one that's not. You know, the 4 personality types plus the extra one.
Yes.
We get viewpoint chapters from 3 of those women, Corinne, Aster, and Rowan. We do not get any viewpoint chapters from Poppy or Natasha, which should probably clue you in that bad things are going to happen to those 2, and guess what? They do. But we open at this funeral of the friend of the so the guy who founded their jewelry company is this group's grandfather, okay? That grandfather had a protege named Stephen who drowned in the ocean in shallow water despite being a good surfer boy or something.
Like he drowned in a puddle or something? Like on a sandbar?
I guess
the vibe
I think just kind of like face down, like waves lapping at him was kind of the visual I got.
Yeah.
And like also right along the shore.
He didn't, like, it wasn't an accident. Spoiler.
It wasn't an accident, but everyone believes that it was an accident because he was drinking at the time. So this happens. Everyone goes to the funeral. We are introduced to a shitload of characters.
Like 1,000
most
characters.
Of whom, yeah, like literally 1,000 characters. That was the other big complaint I had about this novel was, besides that it made me read about rich people, was that there were so many of them. And I couldn't keep track. Literally right now, I didn't know that this was in the book, but I am looking at the family tree in order to...
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, at the very front. There's a very handy family tree. So now, thank you for that,
see, on
editors.
The Kindle, if you have the Kindle or the Kindle app on your phone, if you highlight names, they have like an X-ray thing, and then it will tell you like the first instance of that person's name popping up, which is the only reason I could keep track of anyone.
Wow, that is handy.
I just discovered it on
Welcome
accident
to Kindle Hacks with Anna and Em.
Yes, welcome to our new podcast. Amazon.
Kindle
Sponsor
Hacks.
us.
Okay, so flash forward 5 years from this funeral of Stephen Bennett, the protege of grandfather Alfred Saybrook. Now we get about 20% of the book, which is just, I guess, catching up with these women and where they are in their life right now. And this was the part that was incredibly boring and I did not give a shit about. So we'll try to get through it real quick. Poppy is married to a man named James. She's the mom of 2 young children, and she is the president of the company, which they passed up Stephen to give her that job before he got, obviously. Corinne and Aster, who I don't know if I've mentioned, they are sisters. Corinne is planning her wedding to a fancy man who is from Texas oil money, but also possibly related to British royalty. So everyone is very into their union. Everybody wants them to get married. Aster is being a party girl and running about town and doing bad, dirty things like drinking in clubs, which her father is very upset about. So he demands that she gets a job at the company, which she does.
She cries about it because she's never had a
she
job
cries
before.
about it a lot, and it's very annoying, and it made me hate Aster a lot. Natasha is mysterious. She disinherited herself low these many years ago, and nobody talks to her anymore, but she has been invited to be in Corinne's bridal party. Finally, Rowan is in love with Poppy's husband, James, who she actually introduced them. She was best friends with him before they got together. And she's still super into him and wants to fuck him. But she resists because it is her cousin's husband until she doesn't resist and they have sex. Corinne
so annoying.
Also starts hooking up with the man
Will.
who is the Will, who gets hired to work as a caterer for her wedding, but also secretly they had a relationship in the summer 5 years ago when she and her fancy boy had broken up for a little bit. Okay, so all this is going down. Rowan sleeps with James. She leaves the apartment, goes towards the office, because she also works there. And it turns out, gasp, Poppy has been, well, we find out, murdered. At first, it seems like a suicide. She's been pushed off of the top of the building.
Very tragic.
So that's the first 20% of the book. Now we get into, like, all the drama and stuff. That first bit was real fucking boring.
It was hard to get
about
through.
All of their, it was so, we had to hear about their wedding dress fittings and their parties and going to the club and how hard is it to have to get a job.
And they were all so whiny.
Oh my God.
All of them.
They were the worst.
And, like, they still are throughout the whole book, but then, like, stuff happens, and so it's a little bit more, like, the plot makes it more tolerable.
Okay. So Poppy dies. Where am I? What's happening?
Poppy is murdered, and...
Honestly, here's the thing. I remember liking the rest of this book. Okay, full disclosure, I was very tired when reading this book. I don't super know the order of events. So we're going to do our best.
Just guess. It's fine.
Okay, so basically from this point on, the 3 women that remain... Oh, no. Sorry, I forgot the whole thing with Natasha. So... they all go to... There's kind of some stuff that happens in between this where they continue with their little dramas. But they end up going to Corinne's bachelorette party. The 4 of them. So Natasha, Corinne, Aster, and Rowan. At which point they all reveal their deep, dark secrets. Which, let me see if I can remember which dumb bitch has which deep, dark secret.
It's easy because 2 of them are cheatsies.
Yeah. Rowan... We already talked about. She had sex with James, so that's her deep dark secret. Pretty recent on that one. Corinne. Okay, so the guy that Will, who she is currently fucking, as we mentioned, she also used to, that's her deep dark secret at that point. There's more to her deep dark secret, but we don't find it out right then.
Yeah.
She doesn't reveal it to them. Does she reveal it to, because I know after they hook up, she has that line. I think we, the audience, know at this point.
Yes, we know, but then, like, I don't know if she tells anyone till the very end. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't think so until stuff kind of starts rolling.
Yeah. And I think she only tells Rowan, doesn't she? Well, no, maybe she tells all of them. I don't remember.
I think it comes out because oh, sorry. I'm going to bleep the name. In big villain
That's gonna
reveal
be a long beep.
Yes. Yep. Enjoy. In that person's big villain monologue, that person says, "Oh, I sent those letters." Like, she's in the car, or that person is in the car with everyone, so they overhear that too. So they must know at that point, or whatever. I don't know. Whatever.
I don't remember what. I think she tells them when she's having her breakdown on the beach at her rehearsal dinner.
Maybe.
I think that's when she tells them. I don't know.
Anyway, we, the audience, know now that Corinne, because when she hooks up with Will, she says something along the lines of, or in her head, in the monologue, in the narrator voice, it's like they had created something that day, that first time that they had hooked up. Not only that, they had created someone. So, like, they had a kid.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, and then Rowan, Corinne, Aster. What is Aster's? Oh, is hers the thing about her dad? Is that the secret she reveals at that point? Or nah?
She tells them that he and Poppy were talking about revealing something, and that he was, like, silencing Poppy. Because Poppy is the president of the Saybrook company. Saybrook Diamond Company. Did we even say? Did they're like a diamond company?
I think I mentioned that.
Okay.
I think I've said diamond many times, but maybe it was not clear that they are. I think we know. Guys, tweet at us. Let us know at this point in the podcast. Are you guys aware?
Saybrook Diamond Company.
Poppy's
the president.
Everybody take out your number 2s and your Scantron. Please fill in the bubble completely. What type of company do the Saybrooks run? Is it A, a diamond company? Is it B, an emerald company? Is it C, a sapphire company? Or is it D? Funny answer goes here.
All of the above.
All of the above. I guess it is technically D then, because they do jewelry.
Oh shit. Okay. Or E, a dog food company. Find out at the end of the podcast.
That doesn't help though. Adding a E option doesn't change the fact that we shouldn't have done an all the above option.
But it's after the all of the above, so D is still technically correct.
Yeah, so it's not a diamond company, which is the thing that we just said 2 minutes ago.
It's a jewelry company, and they're famous for their diamonds that Grandpapa found in Paris.
Now that we've spent 8 hours explaining this minor plot point.
Wait, and Poppy is the president of this diamond, emerald, sapphire company.
God,
and Rowan is a lawyer, and Corinne is the head of foreign affairs, and Aster is an assistant.
This isn't. No one cares.
And Natasha owns her own yoga studio.
Is that what she does? I didn't catch that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's why she goes to India at the end, because she's like,
makes a lot more sense.
Gonna be that girl about it. Yeah, a little bit. I just thought she was in India. I don't know. She could be interested in world cultures. Okay. So after this is a mess. This is a whole mess, and I have to edit it. Okay, so they all reveal these secrets. Natasha is like, I too have a secret. They're driving away from the bachelorette party. Natasha's like, I too have a secret. And the secret is this secret that I'm about to tell you. This deep, dark secret that is so secretive. Secrets hurt no one.
Crash!
Thank you. They get T-boned by a car. Actually, I don't know. Did they get T-boned? They get hit by a car.
It's unclear.
Natasha is sent into a very convenient plot-related coma, which, you know, probably should have seen because she got no viewpoint chapters. So we knew that would happen. Either that or she was the murderer.
Or she would die.
And at this point, kind of the three women go off on sort of three divergent storylines where they all come up with their version of who the killer is.
Yes.
So we'll go one by one again. It's very important that you guys get all of these details. There will be another pop quiz.
The answer is going to also be D, all of the above. Remember that for later.
All right. Natasha, her deal. She's in a coma. We don't care. Corinne, let's do her. So she is having this relationship with Will while she is about to get married to her fancy boy.
Oh my god, this is like the stupidest, most far-fetched one. Like, Corinne is the dumbest of them, I think.
Corinne is super dumb. Will is also super dumb, and I hated him. And I think the note that I wrote when Will was first introduced and they first, like, hooked back up was he had better be the murderer because otherwise this makes no sense. Because he, like, comes back into her life after 5 years and is like, I love you still so much from that one summer we spent together for, like, 10 minutes, and then you ghosted on me and had your cousin break up with me for you. Like, no. Will.
And then also he knew her deep dark secret, and he's still like, I love you and you should cancel your wedding that I am
to
catering.
Be with me, Will.
I have found no other woman in the past 5 years and found nothing else to love except cooking.
Also, I'm sorry, but if you, like, I think we might have even talked about before, like, being invited to an ex's wedding. If you are asked to cater an ex's wedding, say no. Don't do that thing. Why are you doing that thing? What do you want to gain out of this?
Well,
I guess money,
also,
but
like, as the person whose wedding it is, I guess maybe in Corinne's case she was like keeping everything super hush hush secret, but like wouldn't you worry like, oh my god, the caterer is gonna like ruin my wedding because I dumped them in a terrible way? And also hit our secret love child.
Here's how this whole thing should have gone. Corinne finds out Will is the caterer. Corinne goes to her fiance and says, hey, that caterer, we had a fling during that summer that we were, like, hardcore broken up. We're not getting back together. It wasn't a Rachel Ross situation. It wasn't we were on a break. We had a relationship. We had a fling. It was a bad breakup. We should find a new caterer. Fancy boy says, yeah, that makes sense because that's the logical fucking thing to do, even if you're trying to hide this deep, dark love child secret. Like...
Or just, like, burst into tears for no reason, like he does later on in the book.
Or just be like, I don't like his food.
Yeah, be like, oh, this is Garbo.
Like, I hate it. It's gross.
Let's get Gordon Ramsay to cater our wedding.
Let's get a taco truck. Whatever. Who cares? Anything.
Yeah,
aside,
actually, that's what's cool
anything
now.
aside from my ex-lover, who I have a secret love child with. And I mean, like,
and who might have murdered my cousin.
Because this is, thank you for getting us back on track. This is the conclusion Corinne comes to. Corinne, girl. So she flies to,
she's so dumb.
She flies to Virginia to go see her secret love child and doesn't think like she apparently has the address of the family that adopted this kid, but doesn't have like their email to be like, hey, what's up? I'm the biological mom. Would it be cool if I dropped in? So instead she just like does that unannounced, which is buck wild. Like
super. Yeah. Like, I know you're like really super out of touch and like really rich and don't understand how things work, but like,
not like that.
Not like that. That's really disruptive. Please.
Like,
don't do
and
it.
I mean, to be fair, like the adoptive mother is very like, we're her parents now, you're nothing, go away. Which in any other case, I would call out and be like, you know, you probably, like, I think most, like, adoption rights sort of activists are pretty much on the side of, like, adoptees should be allowed to have relationships with both their biological and adoptive parents if that is at all possible. Mm-hmm. But in this case, the adoptive mother has been getting, like, some sort of, we don't know exactly what, but she says that Will has already come by and, like, been threatening towards them. So, Corinne takes this to mean that Will is just like a bonkers person, and that since he knows about the kid, that he also must have realized that Poppy was like complicit in the hiding of, because like Corinne and Poppy together, Corinne asked Poppy to like pretend that she was on assignment in like Hong Kong or something for a year so that she could have this kid in secret.
So dumb. But really she was just in Virginia.
Right. And nobody who knows the famous Saybrooks and their pictures in the paper all the time recognized her, I guess, but whatever. So
I guess. It's very dumb.
So Corinne now believes that Will found out about the kid and thought that Poppy had like twisted Corinne's arm into the whole situation, and that's why Will killed Poppy. So that's Corinne's theory. It is a dumb theory, and Corinne is a dummy, but honestly, if Will had been the murderer, I would have been much happier, because now he's just a dumb boy.
Yes.
So we move on to, let's do Rowan next. Rowan thinks James did it, because she initially was like, he definitely didn't do it because we were having sex beforehand, and then like I left first, so like he couldn't have. But then she figures out that like he could have in the time that he left the apartment to, like, she does math.
Yeah, like she randomly remembered. She's like, oh yeah, I did like 3 hours worth of things before I went into work that day. So I guess he did have time to leave and then go kill his wife.
Like she literally just figures out how math and time works. Like that's pretty much Rowan's plotline in this. She also finds out that James has been cheating on Poppy with multiple people and is continuing to cheat on Rowan now that they are kind of a thing, but not really. So Rowan's like...
Also, he's violent.
Oh, yeah. Also, he's violent. And also, Will was kind of violent in that one moment. Like, he smashes a plate when they're, like, having an argument, which is, like, pretty fucked up. There's a lot of, like, men behaving like... It's that thing of, like, having to have red herrings that seem sketchy enough to be the red herring. But then, like, when they're not the murderer, that just means that they really behaved in very terrible ways.
They're just bad people. So, like, at one point, James, like, gets really mad at Rowan because she's, like, looking through their prenup, and he notices this because he goes to her office. And he, like, grabs both of her hands very forcibly to do something. We don't know what. Because then someone, like, walks into the office to interrupt this. And then... Okay, so we get, like, he's, like, this really dark, secretive person, apparently. And then later on in the book, Rowan's like, but he was a good dad. And I want to be like, I mean, he claimed to have loved you, and that's how he acted towards you when he got a little bit mad. Like, I don't know, man. He's got 2 girls under the age of 5 now.
And clearly some anger issues.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a little bit concerned.
But yeah, so that's Rowan's whole plotline, is she figures out how math works, and that the guy who cheats on people a lot is continuing to do that.
Wow, it's amazing.
Really good detective work there, Rowan. Okay, so...
I know, she's like, oh, I thought he changed for Poppy.
Poppy changed him, and then I picked up the scraps, and I was into that.
Yeah.
So then we've got Aster. Aster...
So dumb.
What'd you say?
She's just dumb. She's just a dumb person. Like, she went to this book, when was this book written? 2014. I assume she went to high school. She's like, what's an Excel? What? You want me to input data? How do I book airline tickets? Do I just text the airplane? I don't understand.
So a lot of Aster's
she was dumb too.
Storyline is essentially like Devil Wears Prada, but essentially with more murder, where she's
more dumb.
She's working for this woman named Elizabeth. Elizabeth is very mean to her, but also like kind of justified, because it turns out Elizabeth is Stephen Bennett's widow, and also Aster had an affair with Stephen Bennett, that dead guy we mentioned earlier. So like Aster hooked up with him.
The night he died, they had sex.
Yeah, Aster hooked...
Kind of.
Yeah, so they had like a hookup thing. And the reason that Aster did that was to get back at her father because her father, she believes, was having an affair with Aster's best friend Danielle because she saw them embracing through a window. And if we learn nothing from Handbook for Mortals, it's that anytime one person sees
oh my god, it is Handbook for Mortals.
an older man embracing a younger woman and leaps to the conclusion that they are having an affair, what's really happening is that man's secret love child. And I wrote that down when, like, basically when Danielle showed up, I was like, oh, Danielle is Aster's secret half-sister. I also thought she was the murderer.
Wow.
Which I wasn't quite right on, but I was pretty close.
I did too. Oh, also, she also works for the company. She works in HR. And she has to, like, do Aster's onboarding.
Yeah.
When Aster starts working there. And it's very funny to me and awkward.
So she has to give her the whole video.
This is the family history.
This is the family
and Aster's
history
like,
about,
I am the family.
About how your your grandfather found a magical diamond at a Paris bazaar during World War II and brought it back, and it changed their fortunes, and they became so rich. Okay, so they all have these theories. They go to the FBI agent who has been tasked with their case, whose name is
like fucking Scooby-Doo.
Whose name is Scarlet Fish, because she's
Catherine
just another
Foley.
fucking red hair.
Yes, a weird one. Such a weird one. And I really did think that this was one of the would have been a good killer, because the beginning, like the old grandma, Edith, is like, I swear I've remembered you from somewhere. And she's like, no, I'm an FBI agent. That's it. You don't know me.
The thing I thought when that happened was that she was another secret love child. But then I was like, this is too many secret love childs.
It's too many love
can't
children.
Possibly be 3. We gotta pump the brakes. So I in my running track of trying to decide who I thought the murderer was, what I thought was happening, I was more certain that Danielle was a secret love child than this dumb FBI woman. So they all go to the FBI and they're like, hey, here are our theories. And she's like, your theories suck. I've interviewed all these people. Fuck off.
It's just like Scooby-Doo, though, because they each say, I know who the killer is. And then they're like, no, that wasn't who the killer was. I know who the killer might be. Now, also, that was wrong. Okay, the third person has to be the killer. No, you're
I don't
all
think
wrong.
I actually said Aster's theory was that Danielle, or no, it wasn't Danielle, but Aster's theory was that Mason, her father, killed Poppy because Poppy found out about the affair with Danielle, and that was the whole thing, and so he killed her for it.
And also the money. There was like a bunch of, like, he liquidated a bunch of stocks or something.
So there was like some sketchy financial stuff going on. Okay.
Yes.
So we move into the end game. Oh, also, Elizabeth, /Betsy, the mean boss who is the widow of Stephen Bennett, she saw Poppy standing over Stephen's body and believes that Poppy murdered Stephen. So there is also a theory, which comes up with the FBI lady eventually, that somebody who was in love with Stephen or close to Stephen killed Poppy in revenge.
Yes, which...
There's a lot of
This
theories.
book was, like, so overly convoluted with theories. It was like Sarah Shepard went into this writing it like it was already optioned for television because it feels like a season of TV. Yeah. Like, you'd be like, oh, remember in episode 5 when we found out that we thought Poppy killed somebody? And then by episode 26 of that season, you're like, it doesn't even matter. It felt like it was years ago that you found that out. No, in this book, though, it was like all at once. It was very confusing.
Remember that whole bottle episode where Corinne and Will hooked up in the wine cellar and then we found out about Corinne's secret love child? Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Remember that pop quiz where we couldn't remember what kind of company these stupid girls were?
Oh my god. Okay, so we move into the end game. Corinne's wedding. Corinne is getting married, as mentioned in this podcast. Everyone is going to the wedding, including people who really shouldn't be there, but whatever. There's several characters who are, like, plot pertinent who we haven't even mentioned yet, and I'm probably not gonna. Sorry, Mitch, but, like, there's just too many of them.
Mitch is a boy.
Mitch is a boy who Aster likes. I guess
he can do
we
computer.
did mention him now. Sorry. Okay. Corinne has a little meltdown at her wedding and goes running off into the ocean naked.
It was pretty good, though.
Yeah.
As far as meltdowns go, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah. So she runs in the ocean naked. Everyone's like, the cousins are like, okay, we got to go deal with Corinne. They go get Corinne. And, man, I read this like an hour ago. I should be able to remember it.
They go to get Corinne, and she goes in and says, I'm not going to be with Will. I'm going to get married to Dixon. But then Mitch has, like, gone and hacked into the, like, the computer, what is it called? The security camera footage, and they can see who was walking through the lobby.
Yes.
The day that Poppy was killed.
They see that Danielle was in the lobby, or at least a woman who looks like Danielle and had red hair and the ugly dress that she was wearing, which at first I was like, I don't know why anyone would be like, oh yeah, I remember this dress specifically belonging to this person. But then I like looked at the description of it and I was like, oh, it is a really ugly dress. I would probably remember that actually.
What kind of dress was that? I don't remember.
It was like color block, like green, orange, and white or something. And I was like, yeah, that does sound pretty like fucking ugly. Oh. Like I would probably.
If she wore that even like once a month, I'd be like, all right.
Like, yeah, that's that ugly dress Danielle wears sometimes. So they Danielle-ish person is in the lobby and the FBI agent. So they're like, oh my god, FBI agent killed Poppy. She's the killer, because they also see a photo. It's of Corinne at the party before Stephen died. And she was there as a waitress. And they're like, oh my god, she was the townie that Stephen was in love with. So she killed Poppy in revenge for Poppy killing Stephen. Mm-hmm. This is their new theory that they all agree on, all three of them. So they go to Dan.
It's a very good
It's a very good theory. So they go to Danielle and her mother, Julia, and are like, we got to go to the FBI in Baltimore right now because we can't trust the FBI here because she's in the FBI here. So let's book it. Let's drive.
Go to another state.
We gotta go to another state. So Danielle's like, okay, sure, because Danielle does whatever the fuck they tell her to. And they're driving, and so I think it's Aster is like, she remembers all of a sudden that Danielle had said she was sick. And like she didn't go into work that day that Poppy was murdered. So she's like, wait a second. If Danielle was sick, how was she in the lobby? She's like, wait, Danielle, were you really sick? And Danielle's like, yes. And she's like, no, were you really for real sick? Because I think you were in the lobby. Which, let me just say, if I was in the car with someone and who I thought was a murderer, you know what I wouldn't do? Be like, hey, I don't think your alibi holds water. Like, I don't think that's...
I think you're the murderer.
Right. That was a very dumb, bad thing to do. So they're like, she's kind of pressing, whatever. And then basically Julia, the mother of Danielle, who also has red hair and presumably can fit in Danielle's ugly dress.
Yeah, they are supposedly like, look like they could be twins.
She pulls a gun on everybody and is like, you solved the murder. And they're like, we didn't really, but you pulled a gun on us, so I guess we did.
You solved it for us.
By pulling this gun on us. So they don't actually ever solve the murder. So Julia is like...
This is true.
Julia's like, yes, 'twas me. I did it. And they're all like, but why? And she's like, you treated Danielle so poorly, even though... And then Aster's like, boop, 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 pieces fitting together, beep, boop, information processing, beep, bop, boop, beep. Oh my god!
You're my sister!
Secretly my sister! And Danielle's like, yes, I thought you knew, Aster, that I was your sister, and so when you turned against me, it did hurt my heart so. And Aster's like, yeah, I thought you were fucking my dad, my B. So Julia's like, Julia is like, yeah, I wanted to murder, because there's also been this whole other thing about on this stupid blog that tracks their every move about how, like, 1 heiress down, 4 heiresses to go, blah, 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 whatever. So, like,
So they're heiress hunting, basically.
Yeah, so Julia's like, I was going to kill all of you because Mason, Danielle, and Aster, and Corinne's father, like, didn't acknowledge Danielle and kept her a secret, and she should have had all the money, and you guys suck, and I did this all for my daughter. And then she's like, guess I'm gonna shoot you now. And Danielle's like, no, mother, if you shoot them, you must shoot me as well. And Julia's like, yeah, okay, guess I'll do that. Which, okay, cool character motivation.
They're all against me.
Like, you did this for your daughter, but also you're willing to shoot your daughter, like, 5 seconds later. Okay, cool.
For the greater good.
So, Julia is gonna kill them all, and then someone shouts freeze, and guess what? It's Scarlett O'Fishbone, and she's here to arrest
that character, Scarlett O'Fishbone.
Julia, because she also figured it out. She did an actual crime solving, I guess.
Yeah, totally behind the scenes. She's just like, I am smarter than you guys, and I knew this was going to happen, so I followed you all.
This is my actual job, sorry. Oh, also in the villain monologue, we find out about how... So, Julia wrote a letter to Will that was like, hey, Will, it's me, Corinne. I had a secret baby with you. Cool, peace, bye. Which, like, the fact that Will just never brought that up, a little bit suspicious. And then Julia wrote to the adoptive mother and was like, hey, adoptive mother, it's me, the biological father. I'm going to kill you if you don't let me see my daughter, or something along those lines.
Which is like, she let that man see her daughter,
right, which she also didn't do anything with that. Well, she did say she was like, she told Will to leave because he had been so threatening or whatever. So, like, also, though, you could have called the cops, though.
Yes.
Anyway. And then Corinne's so like, how did you know about my secret love child that literally nobody else knew about, including the FBI and also, like, all of the blogs that are obsessed with us? And Julia is like, yeah, you guys aren't very good at hiding secrets. It's like, you can't just say a thing.
Yes, explain it, please.
There was another
That's such a cop-out.
I totally forgot about this until right now, but there was a moment earlier in the book where, let me make sure I'm not about to embarrass myself. Hold on.
No, I want to hear it unedited.
Because I'm pretty sure this thing doesn't work this way. Okay, I can't find out if they do work this way, but I suspect they don't. But if I'm being dumb, someone please tweet at me and let me know. So there is a moment in this book where Mitch, the aforementioned, he is helping Aster to, like, break into her dad's computer, and he installs a keylogger to, like, figure out his password.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have to already have been installed to start logging the keys.
He installs it, and then it's like it's like, oh, it tracks everything that you type in, and then it just, like,
but how?
Spits out everything that he's ever typed in the past, so they immediately have his password, which I don't think that's how that works, but maybe I'm incorrect.
I'm pretty sure it's not, but I don't want to Google it.
I have Googled it, and I have found it. I don't think this is a question that anyone would ask of, can I install a keylogger and then have access to past data? I don't think anyone's asked that to Google yet.
I don't think it's possible.
I don't think that's how it works.
The keyboard is like, I don't know.
I don't think that's how that works. Anyway, so that was a while back in the plot. But there's a lot of kind of that where it's just like people just say things and that's how it works, I guess. So there's a magic keylogger, and Julia just kind of knew about the secret baby that no one else on the planet knew about. So Julia, surrounded by the FBI, get there, like, freeze, and she's like, not going down this way, and, like, tries to shoot at someone. She gets shot, maybe, and then she's like, peace out, suckers, and jumps off the bridge. So of course she's fucking alive, and if there was a sequel,
Like fucking Jason Bourne.
Right.
She just vanished.
Fucking Sherlock fucking jumping off the building. Like, she's fine. It's fine. Don't be ridiculous. But everyone's like, well,
so
guess she's dead now. And it's like, no, she's clearly not, you idiots. So then we get like, this is like at like 86% of the way through the book. So we've still got a decent chunk, but not enough to like introduce a new plot line. So we're just going to spend like the next 8 chapters just
so annoying.
Wrapping up all of the plot lines.
Every single little thing. And I was just like, oh, I don't care anymore. We found out who did it. Just give me like 3 pages of a conclusion.
So the main points from this Lord of the Rings-esque ending, in which it keeps ending and then not ending. Natasha comes out of her coma and is like, here's the big secret I was going to tell you guys. And hey, podcast listeners, do you remember how I mentioned earlier in the episode that they watched that video about how their grandfather got the diamond from a Paris bazaar during World War II? I did that on purpose, so this part would make sense. That's not the real story. What actually happened is that their grandfather stole that from Holocaust victims. Cool, 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 cool.
So awesome. Cool guy. Great family.
So
I'm on Natasha's side. Hashtag Natasha did nothing wrong.
Right. Natasha was like, we shouldn't have this money. Peace out. I'm going to go do yoga, I guess.
I don't want any of it. Your blood money.
Mason knew about this and Natasha found out about it. Stephen did not know about this, but knew something was up because the funds that got liquidated were to pay off like a descendant of the guy who helped steal the diamond with
yes, who wanted to come
with
clean.
Peepaw. So they paid him off. Stephen saw that weird transaction had happened and then like threatened to come forward with the information about the Nazi stuff, which again, he had absolutely no way of finding that out. But they're like, oh, he did some digging and figured it out. It's like, okay, but like you've set up that this is a secret that is so secret that no one can ever unsecret it. So you can't then just be like, oh, but he did it. He figured it out. He solved the puzzle. And so he got murdered. Like, no, you can't do it that way. But I mean, she did, so it's fine. So that's why Stephen got murdered, which was by Julia. I don't know if we mentioned that. Julia murdered Stephen so that she could ingratiate herself with Mason, I guess.
Made no sense. Yeah, so basically just created more problems for them in the sake of like, accept my daughter as your daughter.
Yeah. Julia was like, hey, I know what will make my boyfriend love his daughter if I kill a guy. And then Mason was like, no, that definitely didn't do it. I'm gonna break up with you instead.
I hate you more now.
So like that was a very bad plan. Danielle is fully accepted by the family as like a cousin and sister by everyone, which annoys the shit out of Grandma Edith because she's like, she probably was in on it the whole time.
Yeah, well, and it's weird because like Mason, the dad that did all the bad hiding of stuff, was like, it's up to you, Aster, whatever Danielle's fate may be. I'm like, no, it's not. It's really actually not, it's still up to you to like acknowledge her, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, like the tabloids had it, so everyone knew. It was just like, are you gonna be nice to your half sister or not? Was pretty much the issue.
Yeah, so it's like.
Also, there has been a post on that dumb blog site that keeps coming up, which was kind of maybe run by Julia. Maybe Julia just submitted stuff to it. Not super clear. But there's a lot of stuff that Julia had no way of getting. And anyway, doesn't matter. Blog site puts up a thing that's like 1 heiress, 2 heiress, 3 heiress, 4 with pictures of like the 4 main cousins, something heiress, new heiress, picture of Danielle. But guess what? There's more. So like there's another secret. So there is another secret love child somewhere that we don't know about.
Yes.
And we're probably never going to know about because this book ends with Grandma Edith throwing some shade at Danielle, being like, maybe she was in on the murder, and then talking about her cancer. And then, which that's the thing that just got introduced at the last minute for no fucking reason. And then her being like, there's a scream, there's a dead body, wearing the pendant that all the granddaughters have. And she's like, oh God, not again. The curse is still amongst us. End of book. Which sets it up to...
Someone's dead.
Someone's dead. One of the girls that we've spent this whole book getting to know and love, probably Natasha. And we're most likely never going to...
Probably because we have the least attachment to her.
Right. We're most likely never going to know who that is or what the deal is with Danielle or anything, because as far as I can tell, Sarah Shepard has absolutely
There's no plan for a
to
sequel.
write the sequel to this book at this time.
Yeah, this came out almost 5 years ago, so...
Yeah. And she's done some other shit since then, and none of it has been dealing with this shit. So I think she was pretty much like, that was fun. I'm done. I'm going to go write more, yet another series about a group of women who all have deep, dark secrets and who are being stalked by a murderer. And it might be one of them, but it probably isn't, but it might be. And cool.
It's going to be very convoluted.
Oh, man. So that was this book.
Oh, it was such a mess. It really was, just all over the place. And that's why I couldn't stop reading it, because I was like, which of these stupid ideas is going to pan out to be the big one?
Yeah, it was...
And this was none of that.
Super readable. I usually don't like mysteries because I feel like I'm spending the whole time figuring out who did it. But for this one, I was pretty much like, oh, Danielle's a secret love child. She did it. And I was like pretty set on that the whole way through. And everything confirmed that until like about 10 minutes from the end when I was like, oh, it's not Danielle, it's her mom. Cool. So like, I wasn't stressed the way I usually am when I read mystery books, because I find them very stressful in general. So it was all right. It wasn't that bad. I got through it. It was fine. And I would say I enjoyed a good part of it. It wasn't like it wasn't... I would not have... A lot of times when we're kind of like, oh, it was okay, you know, we'd be like, oh, I'd recommend this if you're really into this specific niche. Honestly, I'd recommend this. Like, I think that maybe not this one because we've spoiled all the plot points, but
yeah, go read another book, maybe.
Yeah, see if there's like another standalone. I don't know if I would like really heartily recommend investing your life into Pretty Little Liars, because that seems like kind of a big chunk of your life that you're gonna have to kind of pour into that, just because there's many of them. But maybe, I don't know if she's got any other like standalones. Maybe go check those out. Seems like they're a pretty fun time if you're into like the murder thriller sort of thing. It's not super it's super like it's a readable book. It's pretty, you know, it's fun. Like, I had fun.
Yeah,
cool. So I guess that's my silver lining, is I had fun reading this book. I didn't hate it. It was a good book. This is the thing.
I hate to say good.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's hard to, because everything is subjective, right?
It served its
purpose.
This.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot, that like, just because we hate a thing doesn't mean everyone will hate the thing. So I mean, like, I wouldn't call it good necessarily just because of kind of some of the flaws that we already discussed, but I thought it was pretty well written. Like, I didn't think it was, you know, like, I think mainly the flaws were just that the characters weren't likable, and that's maybe kind of the point. Maybe it's not. Maybe Sarah Shepard thought that everybody would love these girls, but I didn't. I don't know. This is the book that we've read thus far that I'm the most ambivalent about. Usually I come down pretty hard. I'm either like, no, I really hated this book, which is like 98% of the stuff we read. Or I'm like, no, this is actually like a good book and I enjoyed it and I like it. I mean, I enjoyed this book and I had fun, but I'm just kind of like, it's whatever. I'm not mad about it. That's my final endorsement. I'm not mad about it.
Well, I'm sad I didn't pick a book you hated, but I am glad I didn't have to read something that was also bad.
Yeah. Did you have a silver lining, or was that pretty much your silver lining too? That it was a fun book?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like, it was like that kind of book that you want to read when you're on vacation, or like on the plane, or at the beach, or something. Like something that you don't have to get super invested in, and it's easy to read. It was entertaining, and it did read like a TV show. Like, I could definitely see this on the CW someday.
Not without sequels, man.
Oh, yeah. But with the huge caveat that, like, or caveat? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, maybe.
With the huge
finish the sentence and I'll tell
disclaimer.
Yeah, caveat works.
That it is like, it's like, yeah. It's trash reading, but you know, sometimes that's what you want.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like I said, very ambivalent. Didn't make me mad. It's all good. Sarah Shepard.
Yeah.
Cool beans.
Dang. I wish I'd gone with my other pick though, but then I guess I'll save that for later.
Have to save that for like a month and a half from now. Let's finish our other segments before we get into the next read.
Oh yeah.
Of the characters in this book, who did you relate to the most?
I related to probably either Natasha, because she was mostly in a coma but also wanted nothing to do with this family, or Elizabeth, who really hated this family.
That was my pick. Elizabeth is my dream.
Yeah, she was like wonderfully snarky. Like, I think she really was like, Sarah Shepard was like, I really love Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada. I want to write a character like that. Here's that character.
Yeah, she's just like rude for no reason and talks shit about everyone and like is a huge bitch, and I love it. I'm so here for it. She was great. I would read a whole book about her. She was. Which, I mean, I guess I could just go read Devil Wears Prada.
So is that what you'd rather be reading?
No, it's not. I actually so I was trying to think of like how to, because you know, when we do these rather be readings, for the most part, sometimes we're just like, fuck it, I just bought this book and I want to read it. But for the most part, we try to pick like books that connect to this book in some way. I don't know if you guys at home have figured that out yet, but there is a method. So I was trying to think like first of all, I knew I wasn't going to pick a mystery because I cannot think of a mystery that I would actually like recommend to people because I just don't fucking like mystery books. Sorry. I mean, they're fine. They're whatever. They're whatever. So I thought instead kind of the other thing that I guessed was why you picked this was the whole socialite thing, and that was why you picked this. And the whole like kind of high society bullshit nonsense. So I was trying to think of like a book that I've read that I like that is about that. That is about like looking at a high society and kind of critiquing this. The book I came up with, it actually would have fit a few weeks ago because it is a Pride and Prejudice retelling. It's called it's called Unmarriagable by Soniah Kamal. And it is a Pride and Prejudice story set in Pakistan, and dealing with like,
sounds cool,
kind of the high society of that. And I actually don't super like the romance in it that much, which is weird for a Pride and Prejudice retelling. But I really, really like how it looks at kind of the, like, it's a look at like the sort of societies and culture that exist in this like kind of the richer class in Pakistan, with like a critical eye in terms of feminism and also in terms of like post-colonialism. So I really enjoyed all of that about it. I didn't mention it during our Pride and Prejudice episode because, not Pride and Prejudice episode, Mr. Darcy Vampire. I didn't mention it. I didn't mention it in my list of Pride and Prejudice adaptations that I really like because I don't particularly like the romance in it. I think it's kind of like not really that important, but I really like everything else about it. And I think it kind of fits the idea of let's look at how the upper class lives, but it's more critical, and it's more like it calls into question a lot of things relating to that specific version of the upper class. How about you? What you got?
My pick was, I was going to say, Rich People, Crazy Rich Asians, but I'm pretty sure I already recommended that on the podcast.
I was thinking Crazy Rich Asians a lot with this one, honestly.
Yes. And that series is very good. I have read the three of them, and I've enjoyed them all three, so I do recommend them. But I think I'm going to go for my official recommendation, Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. It's actually like a YA mystery series, which YA mystery is very big right now. And we're seeing a lot of new books about them. This was the first one that I'd ever read, but it's about a girl who goes to a private school in Vermont. That's like, I don't know, it's not like a regular school. It's like for people who are like very good artists or very good at inventing something. But there was a murder that happened. There was a cold case that happened on the campus when this campus used to be a rich person's house in their estate. Anyway, a murder did happen and it went unsolved, and Stevie Bell is the main character of this book in modern day, and she is going to this school because basically she wants to solve the mystery. And she likes true crime podcasts and stuff. And so she goes and she tries to solve the mystery, but then also new murders happen. And so the book leaves, the first book, I've only read the first book. The second one just came out, but it left on a
The Vanishing Stare,
cliffhanger.
I believe.
Yes, The Vanishing Stare. Mm-hmm. So I'd recommend reading both of them. It's going to be a trilogy, I'm sure, because it's a YA series.
Yes, it is.
So you might want to wait until it comes out because the cliffhanger was not cool. But they're very good, and Maureen Johnson is pretty well known in the YA.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've read a lot of
a good author.
Maureen Johnson stuff, and I like it, and she's cool. But I haven't read that one specifically, so might have to move that up the reading list based on that recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Does that wrap us up for segments and shit?
Yes, I think we're done talking about Heiresses, and now we can move on to whatever fresh hell you have found.
Oh, I don't have one because I believe we have a reader suggestion, do we not?
Oh my gosh, we do have a reader submission. I almost forgot.
Yeah, girl. Gotta get on those reader submissions.
Oh my word. Yeah, so let me pull this up here. My friend Kristen, who listens to the podcast, recently came
I kept
across
saying
a
reader
book
submission. Listener submission, not reader.
Well, she also read it, so I mean, she's a reader.
Yeah, but in regards to her submission, it's a listener submission. My bad. That was my fault. I led us astray by saying that.
Slummer submission.
Yeah, a slummer submission. We have a slummer submission. I'm going to try to edit that.
A slubmission, if you will.
A submission.
A slubmission.
Try to edit that into something usable.
Well, so Kristen listened to this audiobook, and she said it centers on two women, a psychologist and her subject, and their relationship, completely unprofessional, that comes out of the study. I feel like it's trying for Gone Girl thrillerness with a female anti-hero. I won't tell you why I hated it because I don't want to ruin it, but I found it to be a book I couldn't stop listening to, even as I hated most of it, so I feel like it will be perfect. So, yes, it's a thriller mystery, so we'll be doing two of them in a row.
Oh, joy.
But hopefully this is more of the kind that you won't like.
Yeah.
Should we read the blurb on
let's
book,
do a Goodreads blurb real quick. I'm going to read the italics part in a spooky voice.
Yes, you do that.
Seeking women ages 18 to 32 to participate in a study on ethics and morality. Generous compensation. Anonymity guaranteed.
When Jessica Ferris signs up for a psychology study conducted by the mysterious Dr. Shields, she thinks all she'll have to do is answer a few questions, collect her money, and leave.
Question number 1. Could you tell a lie without feeling guilt?
But as the questions grow more and more intense and invasive, and the sessions become outings where Jess is told what to wear and how to act, she begins to feel as though Dr. Shields may know what she's thinking and what she's hiding.
Question number 2. Have you ever deeply hurt someone you care about?
As Jess's paranoia grows, it becomes clear that she can no longer trust what in her life is real and what is one of Dr. Shields' manipulative experiments. Caught in a web of deceit and jealousy, Jess quickly learns that some obsessions can be deadly.
Question number 3. Should a punishment always fit the crime? Cool. So that sounds like some like 50 Shades of Grey sort of shit going on.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So that will be next fortnight. So swing on by if you would like to hear us talk about it.
If you've ever had to investigate someone you love because you think they are guilty of murder and have installed a keylogger on their computer, can you discover what they've typed before you've installed the program?
How's that work?
Let us know.
How's that work? Tweet at us at HateReadcast on Twitter, or email us with the answer to that question. Or if you have your own literary slummer submission that you would like to have us cover. your submission, you can email us at haterecast@gmail.com.
As always, thank you to Ben Cope for the use of our theme song. You can check out his YouTube channel in our show notes below.
Whatever podcast aggregator you're listening to us on, if you could or feel free to follow us on that so you are sure not to miss an episode. If your podcast listening thing of choice happens to be iTunes, if you could leave us a 5-star review so that we might have a chance to reach more ears, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you know anyone who you think would like this podcast, you could always tell them about it in person, like face to face, you know.
In the words of Sarah Shepard, a job, Jesus. She hailed a cab and gave the driver her downtown address, then leaned against the window and closed her eyes. For the first time, it felt as if the family curse was real, because starting next week, Aster would be living it. Because she had to get a job.
It's so hard out there,
like
for
the rest of the 99% of the world.
Hard. We didn't do a second pop quiz question.
Oh, we can do one real quick.
No. I'll just cut out the part where you said there'll be another one at the end.